Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. For today's number talk, we are looking at these two decimals and trying to figure out if the quotient is going to be more or less than 8. Go ahead and take a moment to work this problem out on your own, and then we'll look at our answers together. So we're dividing 16 by this decimal, 1.9. And for our purposes, let's just go and round that. What does 1.9 round to the nearest whole number? Well, we should know, if we remember the algorithm, that anything 5 or up will make this change. So that's going to end up being 2.0. We can just call it 2. Now, a way to visualize that, if you need to, is take a look at the boundary numbers that are below and above 1.9. Let's look at our whole numbers, 1.0, 2.0. I think what's halfway in between 1 and 2? Well, 1.5 or 1.5. And where does that 1.9 land? Because if it's at 1.5 or above, it's going to round up. And take a look. That 1.9 is going to be right there. So this definitely rounds up to 2. So it's 16 divided by 2. Let's do some patterns here, because that's going to help us. Because visually dividing something into a decimal, that's going to be difficult. So what can we divide 16 by? Well, we can divide it by 1. We can divide it by 2. We can divide it by not 3, but 4. We can also divide it by 8 and 16, but that's good enough. That's all we really need to worry about. All right, so what I want you to notice here is look at my divisors. My divisors, and I'll outline them in blue. Right, those are the numbers you're dividing by. They're increasing from 1, 2, 4, 8, all the way up to 16. I want you to see what happens to your divisor as your divisor gets bigger, how that changes the quotient. Okay, so 16 divided by 1, look at that quotient. That answer is 16. Wow, that's big. But as my divisor increases, you're dividing it into more and more pieces. So it's going to be 8, and then 4, and then 2, all the way down to 1. So you see how they're kind of flipped, right? As your divisor increases, your quotient decreases. So that's going to help us with this pattern right here. So we divided 16 divided by 2, and that gets us 8. But the actual number is a little bit less than that. It's a little bit 1.9. So if I were to put a 1.9 right here, that would land somewhere between 1 and 2. Right? It's a little bit less than 2. So that means your divisor is getting a little bit smaller, which means your quotient is going to get a little bit bigger. It's going to be 8 point something because it's a little bit less pieces. 1.9 pieces or less than 2 pieces you're dividing it into, which means the number in each piece is going to be a little bit larger. And your answer here is more than 8.